All right, so this is preparing for turbulent economic times. So there is this, sort of bigger picture economic shifting that's going on. Some of it isn't necessarily impacting the real estate market in terms of pricing of homes because of the inventory issues that we're having. But there are some major economic shifts that are happening now that you need to be aware of. So I'll probably come in here for this weekly training once every 4 to 6 weeks or so, just to give you a reminder of kind of what to be looking for and how to react to what's going on. So the subtitle is the 8 must-dos to take advantage of the current real estate market. I figured the giveaway this week, and just comment shift happens. I do believe there's truth in numbers. So I put together a monthly KPI tracker. I am the king of trackers. This is an easy one though. It's a Google Sheet. You can swipe it right into your business. I think it comes as an Excel, so you can upload it to Google Sheets. So just comment shift happens. So the question, as we're sort of entering these weird times, do you have a clear roadmap in place to take advantage of the economic squirreliness that we're going through and grow your business and grow your wealth, right? I want both of it for you. So here is what I'm thinking about. I think this is time to get excited. Now, if you're coming into, essentially we just have less home selling, right? So there's low supply, which is keeping prices up, even though the headlines will have you thinking that the end of the world is coming in the housing market. This is the time to get excited because agents will be leaving the industry. Yeah, that's not great for them, but it's great for you if you could keep your mind in the game. I'm only following a few sources. So I did spend a year kind of going head first after 13 years being out of the 24-hour news cycle, going into thinking that I needed to be like in the know 24/7. There's really just a couple sources that I follow. And really mind, one of them is called The Pour Over. It's a daily email that sort of just gives you the headlines. And in the case of The Pour Over, it gives you like a biblical perspective of what's going on in the news and how you might think about it if you think there's something greater than what's happening in the world. I also listen to a podcast called the All In Podcast. Four smart guys, 2 on opposite ends of the political spectrum, 2 more moderates, and they're all successful business people. And it comes out Friday or Saturday mornings. That's basically what I listen to. Doesn't take a lot of time during the week. I'm not like constantly tense about what's going on everywhere. I do want to stay in tune as much as possible what the impact will be on real estate, right? In 2008, real estate is what led us into the economic disaster, the housing crisis and the subprime loans. That's what led us into that Great Recession, right? This is not happening. There's an impact on real estate, but it's mostly what's happening around real estate that's impacting, specifically interest rates, and tough for people to move if they don't want to give up their 2.25% loan, right? So most importantly, I think it's critically important to monitor your personal economy. We are coming out of a 11 or 12 year bull market in housing. Most of you that are listening, most agents, 2/3 of agents weren't in real estate when we were coming out of the Great Recession. The 2008, 2009, 2010 years were rough. And then 2011 onward, we've been kind of storming towards this bull market in housing and all other asset classes, right? So you could be a little bit lazy when it comes to monitoring your personal economy, but I do this on a weekly basis. I cash in, cash out on a weekly basis and my net worth on a weekly basis. And I move money around like a modified profit first. If you've ever read the book Profit First by Mike McCalloway, it's sort of a modified profit first. I do it weekly versus twice a month, which is what he recommends. So you need to make sure you're monitoring your personal economy. I did a training, financial freedom, something on financial freedom. I forget what it was, but I actually gave away my net worth tracker. So find that training and definitely take care of your personal economy. Pay attention to the headlines. The headlines are all FUD. It is a FUD show out there. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, if they can get you to put your eyeballs, right? Attention is the new currency, right? It's not information, it's attention. They want to get your eyeballs on whatever thing they're doing so they can advertise, get your eyeballs on whatever they're advertising, right? So it's all about the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but stay out of it. Be aware of it, but stay out of it, because you can't win the game of business. 100% commission industry that we live in, right? You're not going to get paid if you're not doing the work. And if you're in the FUD, you're going to be fearful, you're going to be uncertain, you're going to be doubtful, right? Those headlines will become part of like how you are showing up in the world. And you'll think that, you know, a good example of this is I'll ask an agent, so what are you doing to generate listings? They're like, there are no listings. Like inventory is low and you know, the prices are dropping. No seller wants to sell right now. It's like, okay, so you're literally doing nothing, right? In the last 2 weeks, what have you done to generate new listing opportunities? And the answer is nothing, because there's no listing opportunities. So that's an example of how they're in the FUD, and it's allowing them to essentially be paralyzed by the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We don't want that. This is so simple. What I'm going to tell you today, these 8 things that you must do if you're going to crush the market here. I don't want to call it a shift, because it's really just, I don't know, it's sort of the market of the moment, right? There are just things happening that are shifting, but the housing market is it's just a weird time. It's not easy though. So the things I'm going to go through are super simple, but they're not easy. This is where the real money is made. In markets like this, in times of uncertainty, is where the real money is made. And I think you need to stay focused on yourself and your immediate world. And I use this horse. You can't tell, it's a big horse head, a horse with blinders, because there are horses that will get spooked by horses running next to them. Not all horses have blinders, but they have these blinders so they can run their race. I think most of us, myself for sure, and you for sure, you need to put your blinders on and define like what is in your world, right? It's your faith, your family, you know, maybe you have a spouse or kids, taking care of your physical body, and then your business, right? And your business can certainly take up all the hours and all the attention, but you want to focus on just those things. And if you find yourself spinning out on other things, then those like 5 or 6 areas of your life, you're probably going to lose this game and you'll be a casualty of this market. And we don't want that. So here's how to navigate chaos, and specifically how I navigated chaos. I'm going to use a generic chart. This is from the book Shift by Gary Keller. This describes what's going to happen in the next couple of years. There's less homes selling. So I'll go through some stats later, but essentially a normal market for the US is 6 to 6.5 million homes that will sell. This year, there'll be a third less homes that sell, and probably next year as well, which is why prices aren't going to drop and tank like the headlines will tell you. There's just less homes available for sale. That said, there's a third less income available. And that's why NAR says, without a doubt, 30% of agents are going to be out of the business. So if there are 3 agents that you're looking at, one of them won't be in the business in the next 2 years. So 30% of the agents are going to get out of the business. So we want to, as income is going up, which is the last, 12 years here, this is the first line, the available income. Now it's going down considerably, but the number of agents peaks afterwards. There's a lag there, right? Because lots of agents want to get in and get their piece of the real estate commission pie. And there's this lag. So the market, the available income is now going down in this survive, part right here. We're here, but the agent count is still high. The agent count is just starting to come down. And the goal here is to survive. This is the lowest per agent income. The market is going to continue to do its thing, less income, right? And it's going to turn around and home sales will come back. The number of home sales will come back. The market will normalize. And then the agents will flock back in, right? They'll go get another job while the times are tough. And, the true pros are going to make it through this. So this is a snapshot of what we're going through. And that's what we went through back in 2008, 9, and 10. When I got into real estate, there was 15,000 agents in my market. It went down to 5,000 agents. 2/3 of agents got out of the business back in 2008. So this is not going to be as bad as that, but less income means there has to be less agents. Some have to just go get another job. and let their license go. They can't afford the fees. So this is a visual here of like, as a market goes down on the left-hand side, build a fortress around what you have. So the market is less income available. So we're going to see that. You want to, if you maintain your business, let's say you're doing 250 GCI, 250,000 GCI, it's going to take you more effort to maintain that, but it's going to be a bigger percentage of the market, right? So as the market on the right-hand side comes back and you could maintain, let's say that theoretical market share. This is a little bit theoretical, but the point still holds true. As time goes on and the market increases, you're going to be in a good position with less agents to take advantage and take your unfair, quote unquote, unfair share of the market. So I want to tell my story a little bit because I think it's going to be helpful for some of you that have not been through a really challenging time. I got into real estate. This is November 2007. This is my first 10 months in real estate. I sold 27 homes. I was instantly out of bounds. This is 2008. Anders, our firstborn, is a little bit bigger here. He doesn't know that I'm working all the time, 7 days a week. Sold 44 homes in 2008. 44 homes in 2008. That is like less than 1%, top 1% of agents in my first full year, but I was working all the time. Fast forward to April 2010, the pressure was really on. Kendall was born. You can see Anders there drooling a little bit. And I had to figure it out. I had to continue to grow my business because I'm wired for growth, but not give away my life in the process. So raise your hand. I'm not going to see you, but raise your hand if you've ever, worked on a family vacation. This is me disappointing my wife. Working a deal that never closed. Ironically, it was a luxury short sale. Didn't close. It's in the neighborhood that I live in right now, 50 homes in our neighborhood. And I run by this home. This morning, I ran by it twice. So not my proudest moment to ruin our first vacation after getting into real estate. But I launched Real Estate B School in 2013 because I was able to go from, that rookie sort of the year, I wasn't rookie of the year. I don't know how I wasn't, but I sold, 27 homes in my first 10 months, 44 in my first full year, to in 2014, 13 or 14, I had 10 producing agents on the right economic model doing 453 transactions. So essentially, and I was out of production. I only worked 42 days that year. So essentially, the same things I did to sell 44 homes, I just duplicated over 10 agents. And, we were 70% gross margin. They made a ton of money because they were super productive, and they couldn't do it without the systems and cadence and brand and leadership and management and accountability, all that we provided as a team. And I was able to really be a business owner. And I launched Real Estate B School to help agents with that ascension process. Make no mistake, though, I don't tell any of that to brag. I've made all the mistakes. I share them all. If you get to know me, I will share every mistake I've ever made. But you need to understand, this is not about me and my journey. I have been so blessed I feel like I'm climbing my third mountain. I figured out the money mountain. I figured out the time freedom. So money freedom, time freedom. And now for me, it's all about impact. You need to decide the top 3 reasons you want to make more money, have more time off, and make more of an impact. So the big promise for Real Estate B School is more money, more freedom, more impact, right? So if you're not where you want to be, yes, you're going to have to put in the work. Yes, it's going to be, crazy times in the next couple of years ahead, but you have to know why you're doing it. So let's talk about how we get there and the 8 things. If you haven't read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear and you struggle with the consistency of daily habits, whether they're in business or personal daily habits, you must read that book. I'm reading it for the 4th, 5th time currently. I want to get my physical body is one thing that I sort of let yo-yo a little bit. And I'm reading it with a lens toward how do I master, my weight in a way that's habitual and sustainable. So becoming the type of person you want to become, someone who lives by a stronger standard, someone who believes in themselves, someone who can be counted on by the people that matter to them, is about the daily process you follow and not the ultimate product you achieve. This is so comforting. All you got to worry about is today. You don't have to worry about, the future and what's going to happen tomorrow. All you can worry about are the things that you can personally control. the actions that you take today. That is what we're after. So the first one is understanding that your time is money. Most agents don't understand this, and they just do what a traditional agent does. And as a result, their take-home dollars are, they come up against this, they can only take home a certain amount of money net because they're doing all the things, right? So let's take an agent that, after pre-tax, but after expenses has $250,000. That's like a top 1% agent. And let's say they work 50 hours a week, which is 2,500 hours a year. 250,000 divided by 2,500 hours in a year is $100 per hour. Without leverage, which are systems, automations, and delegations, without systems, without leverage, they're not going to be able to go to $250 an hour, $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour. So if you're making 100,000 and you're working, 2,500 hours, a 50-hour work week on average, that's $40 an hour. That means you're doing a bunch of things that don't pay well. And there's like a full 80% of what an agent does can be done by someone that wants to get paid $20 or $25 an hour, right? And we're just trained by our industry that we have to be the ones doing all those things. So you have to know what your current number is. Yes, it may make you cry a little bit. My current number, my first 10 months, I wasted a lot of money. I made like less than 20 bucks an hour, but I declared that I was going to make $250 an hour. I wanted to make $500,000 and I wanted to work 2,000 hours a year, which is a 40-hour work week. That is $250 per hour. So that was my aspirational number. So you need to know those two numbers. The next thing you have to think about, most agents are like chicken with their head cut off. That's why this picture here. It's going to be chaotic, but it needs to be controlled, right? Productivity. This is the best definition. And if you measure yourself against this definition, this was from Dan Kennedy, No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs. Productivity is the deliberate strategic investment of your time, talent, intelligence, energy, resources, and opportunities in a manner calculated to move you measurably closer to meaningful goals. So this unpacks so much. Do you have meaningful goals? What you're doing on a daily basis, are you deliberate and strategically investing your time, talents, energy, and resources? And are you moving measurably closer via that investment? Are you moving closer to those goals, right? Most days it's like not even close. Scale 1 to 5, 1, not even close. 5, totally crushed it against this definition. Today you can kind of measure yourself on a daily basis. So we want to focus on activities that are high return on time. And there's only 5 in real estate. PLANS, prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments with would-be buyer and seller clients. So that first consultation, negotiating a buyer under contract or a seller under contract, not appraisals, not repairs, and then building systems. Those are the 5 things, if you're watching the video, that will get you paid serious money in real estate. Think of all the other things you do in your business, and we need to stop doing those at some point. The third must do is that you need to play your game. The game we're playing is a very simple game, but most agents spend most of their time not in the front part of this. They'll get a single client, they'll sign a buyer client and then spend 40, 50 hours showing them homes, going through inspections, doing all the important things, but they're not very dollar productive, right? And then they go back and try to find a new client, and that's why they sell 1 or 2 homes a month, right? Only less than 2% of agents sell more than 2 homes a month on average. So 90% of the industry doesn't sell 2 homes a month because they're spending most of their time servicing clients. That's not where the game of business is won. It's won in the front part, setting up marketing systems. In Real Estate B School, we call these lead gen levers. Then it's putting systems in place to make the contact process as easy as possible. Setting appointments, have a system, a framework for meeting and signing clients with buyer packets and listing packets and pre-list packets, and our frameworks and a virtual buyer consultation and listing consultation. You do all of this right, and you get yourself out of the parts of it that don't pay a lot of money, you will get clients for life, and they make this whole process work. So the fourth must do is that you have to build the business, right? Most agents don't have a business. They just have a high paid job. If they stop working, they stop making money. So the trap of traditional success on the left-hand side here, every business needs to attract, would-be clients, convert them into clients, then deliver on the promise, right? That's being a slave to your business. The traditional agent gets one client, gets them to agree to work with them, and then, shows them homes or lists their home. They do all of it, and they're a slave to their business. On the right-hand side, creating a future, knowing your numbers, even if it's just getting one part-time administrator and, one part-time showing agent, you could take home $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per month with a very simple 3-4 person quote unquote team. If you focus on the business this way on the right hand side, and it's a little bit more complicated, there's all of these accelerators around it, which I'm not going to get into today, but there's true business freedom on the right side of this. More simply put, we have to work on our business if we're going to build a business that gives us a life of freedom. Not only freedom of time, freedom of money, and then also the ability to impact in the areas of life that matter. So there's 4 drivers: attract, convert, deliver, scale. The accelerators generally describe the important parts of the business that will accelerate your growth, your ability to scale your income without losing your life, so without putting a bunch of hours into it. And then within each of these accelerators, there are, let's call it 6 to 12 sort of subsystems. So there's a lot that's involved, but the question is, what are you working on right now? What's the next right thing you should be working on? That's the question that we continually answer in Real Estate B School. The 5 must-dos that you have to defend your time. You must create an ideal week. We go through an exercise. It's in our business freedom planner. So we've got a custom planner in Real Estate B School where every quarter we create an ideal week, and then we time block, right? And we honor our time blocks. We protect those time blocks daily. This is a typical, you may not be running a team, but every Monday through Friday is almost exactly the same. The red areas are the things that matter, most. They're sort of family time. And there's another sort of a little bit more complicated explanations of rocks and putting the big things in first and making them recurring, and new business development, lead follow-up, and appointments. That's the PLA, right? And then the N, you sort of negotiate deals, and then you build systems when you don't have appointments for that day. I get it though. The struggle's real. You may be at a point where you can't even think of which way is up. And real estate is a crazy, you may be married with kids and you're a real estate agent. That is the trifecta of chaos, right? And we're trying to make it all happen. So I get it. And you also need to be honest with yourself about where you're spending your time. Are you really investing your time in the activities that are going to get the greatest return financially, right? So the 6 must-dos that you have to turn pro. The really good book by Stephen Pressfield called Turning Pro. It used to not be on Audible, but it's on Audible now, where we need to build a muscle. We need to build a muscle around doing the things that we maybe don't want to do. The great news is most agents won't do the time blocks. They won't do new business development. They won't, put themselves a little uncomfortable and hire that first licensed administrator, when everyone else is, running for the hills and dropping their real estate license. So that's the good news. Number 7 must-do is that you need to become the expert on the market. I'm going to go through a few slides here, on what I think is going on with the market, but the current change in supply and demand works in the favor of the educated agent. This is a Donald Miller quote. He wrote the book Storybrand. People do not follow the best leaders. They follow the ones they can understand the easiest. So your job as a real estate agent is to define reality. Define reality, right? Do not let the news define your reality or your client's reality, right? There are now 210 U.S. housing markets at risk of 15 to 20% home price declines, right? Housing prices could plunge 20%, Dallas Fed. U.S. home prices could fall as much as 20% next year, right? But we don't see that. So, these slides here are from Keeping Current Matters, which you should have a subscription to. I think it's very inexpensive, and I do not have an affiliate code. So you really just need to go get it. Neuroscientists have found that people spend about 90% of their lives using what's called narrative circuitry rather than direct experience. In other words, we spend 90% of our lives telling ourselves what is happening. The narrative, right? That word's become really popular. The narrative is this, but what's really happening is something different. So 90% of the time we have this narrative that it is the end of the world. The sky is falling. There's no listings to be had. I'm fearful. I'm not going to do the work today. Eventually I'll get out of real estate. That's sort of the narrative versus like when the market was hitting the fan and it was really bad, I would tell myself every day, you cannot tell me I can't sell a home today. So you cannot tell me I can't. So I'm going to sell a home today. Double negative, right? Every day. I'm like, I'm going to sell a home today. No problem. I'm going to sell a home today. It took me like 5 years to literally sell a home every day. You know, when we did more than 365 sales. But you need to stop living in the narrative because the reality is that home prices are still appreciating. Inventory supply is super low. It's basic market dynamics. Any asset class that had a low amount of something, so low supply, and as long as demand is above supply, prices will remain stable. So I'm not saying that it's not going to get bad in some markets. There are some markets like San Francisco and some of the markets, you know, Seattle, that had a bigger increase in prices. You know, certain housing markets in the West have enjoyed these price run-ups, right? Going back to the 1990s. Now the cities most closely associated with tech have the fastest falling home prices. So in terms of price appreciation by region of the country, the national rate, January to January, was a 5.3% increase, right? You look at different, wherever you're in the Pacific is 0%, you know, in Middle Atlantic, I think that's where I'm currently in. South Atlantic, that might be me. I'm either middle or south. But it's not, you know, the national headlines are going to impact your clients, your sphere, when you're making your calls. They'll say, I don't think it's a good time, you know, and they have this narrative, right? They have this narrative that they're living in as well, and you have to get there. So the listing count is the issue. So inventory is the issue. This is going back to January 17 through January 23. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I guess 7 Januaries are on here. So you can see that the peaks are going down, right? A normal level of inventory is at the peaks is 1.6 to 1.7 million. That went down to 1.4 in 2020. It went down to 1.2 in 2021. And then it sort of held the peak at that 1.2 million. But that's a 500,000 off of 1.7 is like a 30% less houses for sale. So it's just a supply demand issue, which means less income. The thing that stinks is that new homes, the builders aren't helping us. They're just now back to the average annual units completed. They got so freaked out in the Great Recession years that I think they just, like, I don't know what they did. They overbuilt, you know, in the boom years, 2002, 3, 4, and 5, and then they just totally left the industry. So 14 years below the 52-year average. So they're just getting back to it. And here's the reality. So that the experts think that nationally, you know, we will see a hit in 2023. But then going forward, you know, it's going to recover. You know, there will be price appreciation. And most homeowners don't have, that's appreciation on the full amount of their home, and they only have a little bit of equity. So let's say you have a, you know, $500,000 home that goes down 1.6% this year. So it goes down to whatever that is, you know, 16,000. It's not even that much, but it goes down a little bit. It's going to recover next year. And then 25, 26, and 27, you know, it's going to increase over 10%. So that home today is 500. It may be worth 550 in 3 or 4 years from now, but your equity might have only been 50 or 100,000. So your equity goes from 100,000 today to 150,000. You have a 50% return on your investment, right? So when you think about it, you need to talk in these terms to your clients. Number 8 is track your numbers. And I'll end with grab a copy of this monthly KPI tracker. Just comment shift happens. And if you want to run further, faster, I dare you to become our next case study. Just let's have a conversation to see if you qualify. If you have questions, this is not a sales call. We work with folks that are determined to grow their business despite what is going on in the market. Go to rebsgrowthassessment.com. And let's do the work, guys. Let's not be the agent that is so caught up in the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that we're not actually doing the work required. You will have to double or triple down and be more focused than ever. And we will see you on the next training. Much love, much respect. Bye-bye.